went on a journey out of Mitzrayim and explaining this idea of why Yidden are called Geffen. We spoke about many different things, that the Geffen, a vine, is improves when you transplant it, and the vine doesn't mix with other crossbreed. You can't breed it with other types of fruits, etc. Vine is the idea of it's supported by dead pieces of wood. So to the Yidden are supported by the others that support and hold up the Yidden. And the same thing, the Jewish people are completely elevated beyond all the nations, and therefore we say they cannot be crossbred, they can't mix with other nations. And we also spoke about that there's different levels amongst the Jewish people, symbolized by different parts of the vine. There's Talmid Chachamim, there's the Balabatim, there's the Amaratzim, there's the Reikim Shabachal, all these different sections of the vine. The Alter Rebbe speaks about 3 different levels of Yidden. The Gemara talks about 4 different levels of Yidden. But ultimately, the Rebbe has 2 questions about this idea about the vine. Is, first of all, why do Yidden improve by becoming transplanted like the vine? What is the benefit of taking a Yid from one location and transplanting him in a different location? And what does it have to do with the fact that the Chazal, when they talk about the Yidden becoming transplanted and going from Mitzrayim to the Midbar and receiving the Torah, the Medrash points out that they said Nasa before Nishma. How does this have any type of relevance to the issue about the vine improves or when you transplant it? So the Rebbe starts explaining this final issue that we just now spoke about, in the explanation of this matter. The Tasiya, that the success in the transporting and traveling and journeying is when the Yidden have the Nasta before Nishma, we will do before we understand. The explanation of the matter that the improvement of the Yidden comes specifically through their being moved around, through their journeys. There has to be such an explanation that will be accepted and will be received in Yiddish, es soll zugenommen werden, es soll sich ablegen, in the very essence of the soul of every single Yid. This concept of why the journeys of the Yidden improve the Yidden. How come? Why does this journeying, the explanation of the journeying, is something that has to be felt in the essence of the soul of every Yid? Why is that so? Because the very traveling and journeying of the Yidden is also something that impacts the very essence of the Yid, and therefore the explanation for this journeying must also be something that is to be found in the essence of every single Yid. The idea of traveling and journeying, that is referring to the descent that the Yidden go through their journey into Golus. He goes out and becomes separated from the land that the eyes of Hashem, your God, is in it. Eretz Yisrael is called the land that Hashem's eyes are in it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And when they are traveling, they are leaving behind such a place. They are separating themselves from such a place. This concept that he becomes separated from the eyes of Hashem, your God, even though it's only temporary. This separation matters to the very essence of the soul of every single Yid. even those that are considered one of the low, even the most lowest level amongst Yidden, like we explained that the empty ones of the Yidden, those are the parts of the vine that seemingly serve no function. They're like the pieces of wood that just stick out without any purpose. So even those Yidden that are likened to the knoiknois of the vine, the empty ones of Yidden, even those, it matters to their very essence the fact that they are separated from the land which Hashem's eyes is in. Like the teaching of Alter Rebbe on the Pasuk of Shema Yisrael, a Yid niter will niter ken sein abgerissen von Getlichkeit, a Jew. Neither does he want nor can he be torn away from godliness. Since through goals the person becomes separated from godliness, like we said before, he's separated from the eyes that Hashem is in the land of Eretz Yisrael. So this matters in the very essence of the soul. And this type of effect that it has in the very essence in the soul, in a kol hasboros hasichlios lo ya'ilu v'lo yaspikuloi, all the intellectual explanations will not help and will not be sufficient for him. Only an explanation that talks and can settle and be received by the very essence. As much as you want to explain it logically, since this touches his essence, the explanation and the reasoning has to affect and satisfy his essence. Therefore, top of page 3. Even when they explain to him explanations that are intellectual explanations, explanations that he could understand, that's explained in many places in Chassidus. They explain to him the great advantage and quality that comes about specifically through descent, through exile, the Yeridat Tzorech Aliyah, because descent is for the sake of ascent. So they explain to him, listen, true, you're being separated from the eyes of Hashem, your God, but it's all for a greater ascent. And Hashem did a tzedakah, he did a charitable thing, that he scattered us and spread us amongst the nations. And that, what is that tzedakah? That tzedakah is because then we can have the advantage of elevating the sparks that's to be found throughout the entire world. And through refining the sparks of the exile, you'll become elevated to a much higher level, incomparable to what he was before. So therefore, all of these explanations, all of these reasonings are things that will seemingly explain to him and should calm him about this thing that bothers him. Why is he separated from the eyes of Hashem, your God? So the Rebbe says this is not something that reaches the essence of the soul. Line 4, still no complains. What benefit and what worth is there? The ascent that will be afterwards. Now, temporarily at least, he's in a state of being separated from the land that Hashem's eyes are in it. In the times of the Beis Hamikdash, they saw godliness with their eyes of flesh. Like we say in the Mishnah of Pirkei Avos, that we're going to say this Shabbos, Perek Hey, 5th Perek of Pirkei Avos, and the Rebbe says this is the custom Lefia Yesh Noigim Loimer Pirkei Avos called Shabbos Sakayis. In the Siddur of the Alter Rebbe, he writes that there are those that have a custom to say Pirkei Avos throughout all the Shabbos of the summer. In Tafshin Lamed Zayin, I believe, The Rebbe had not yet instituted that everyone would do this. This was just, it said in the Siddur, Yesh Noyagim. I think it was in the Mems in the 80s when the Rebbe had made this as a regular Chabad minig to continue saying Pirkei Avos for all the summer, for all the Shabbosim of the summer. And that's why the Rebbe is like explaining it, the Mishnah of Pirkei Avos that's connected with this Shabbos, even though it was after Shavuos and wasn't the prevalent custom at the time to say Pirkei Avos during the summer months. So he said this is according to the custom that Alter Rebbe says in the Siddur Yesh Noeg. To note, that many Mamorim of our Rabbeim Nesiim, even after the Yom Tov of Shavuos, they began from the Mishnah of Pirkei Avos Alit Shabbosim, which means and indicates that the Rabbeim did have this custom and an idea of associating even the summer months with saying and learning Pirkei Avos. In the footnote, he brings that, for example, in a few Shabbosim of Tafshin Beis of 1942, we see Mamorim of the Frierdiker Rebbe on the Pirkei Avos about this. He says, well, the Shabbos Parshas Nosei, Ba'alois Kol Torach and Pinchas of 1942 of Tafshin Beis. Anyway, this is just parenthetically. What does it say in the Mishnah of Pirkei Avos that's connected with this Shabbos, the fifth Perek of Pirkei Avos, right after the brackets? I saw it in Nisim Nasval Aviseinu Beis Hamikdash, that our forefathers in the Beis Hamikdash had 10 miracles occur to them. Mashenkim Bezman HaGolus, She'ein Roi Malchus Begoli, as opposed to the time of Golus, that we do not see godliness revealed. When we find ourselves in a state of concealment and covering. So therefore, he is troubled by this, and he doesn't care about any aliyahs. Now he is separated from it. Now he doesn't see godliness. Now he doesn't see the 10 miracles that took place. Though he knows that in the future when Mashiach comes, it'll be revealed the glory of Hashem, and all flesh will see godliness. The gambos yirelikus, also the flesh will see godliness. How much more so eyes of flesh will see godliness. We call Malcolm still in all. What worth does this have by him? Since now he doesn't see godliness. And he's in such a state that as the pasuk says, that in one moment, a short moment, a small moment, I have deserted you. So in other words, the fact that in the future he will see, but now I don't see godliness. And this matters in the very essence of his soul. Though it's only temporarily, like the pasuk says, a small moment. Every moment is everlasting, like Alter Rebbe says in Tanya concerning a mitzvah that's done in time, even though it's done over a very short period of time, but it's considered everlasting. The same thing, this moment that he's in Golus is considered everlasting. Therefore, he's troubled by this. What benefit, what worth is it for him that through the descent in Golus, he will afterwards reach a greater ascent? But now, at least, he's in a state of where that you have deserted me. Because since all Yidden are princes, the fact that the Jewish people are found in the land of the nations, a place that's impure, like the Gemara brings down that the Chachamim had decreed that the land of the nations have an inherent impurity. So therefore, the fact that later on things will be better, who cares? Now he's in a terrible place. It's similar to what it says in Tanya, about what happens when a person does an Aveda. So the Rebbe is using that same mashal for a person, a Yid being in Golus. That says over there in Tanya, it's like someone holding on to the head of the king, and lowers it below, and he conceals the face of the king within a toilet filled with excrement. There's no greater embarrassment, and that is true. Even if he does so temporarily. So the Rebbe is saying in a similar vein, you're telling me that's only temporary, and later we're going to have a great elevation. But for now, it's like my head being stuck in the most disgusting place. So it's a terrible event. Even if afterwards they will wash him, and they will pay him. And even if afterwards they will perfect it, that through it he will become even higher, it's still a terrible, terrible thing to take and stick someone's head in a pile of disgusting things. So what answer can a person have to settle and to calm his soul, and all the way to the depth of his soul, of being in such a low place, distant from the eyes of Hashem? Any questions before we go on? Second paragraph on page 3, as a response to this issue, to this cry of pain, the way the Rebbe expresses it about us being in Golus, even though it's completely makes no sense and a person cannot relate to it. So for this, the Medrash says, the improvement that the Yidden become improved through journeying into Golus, is in such a way that they preface we will do before we will understand. Kiba in the Tasiya HaGolus, and the idea of traveling, meaning the idea of exile. It's impossible, at least for now, that to have an understanding, an explanation that the essence of the soul will accept. Therefore, we have to preface it by just we will do. And only afterwards, it'll be in a way that we will hear, meaning we will understand. Is Gala v'Yuvana in Shabbat that will become revealed and be understood this matter. Tzaddikim are likened to their Creator, and this idea that we need to have Nasa before Nishma to be able to relate and to survive Golus is because there are things above that are also done in a way of Nasa without Nishma. Or doing higher than understanding, like he's about to explain. The fact that down here below by the person down here, the idea of Golus is in a way of we will do, that it doesn't come down in understanding and comprehension. It's nimshach mikimoy shehu l'maylo. It's drawn down and a result from the way the matter is above. The idea behind this is because the reason of the creation is because Hashem desired to have a home down here below. And there's known the saying of the Alter Rebbe about this Maimer Chazal that Hashem desired to have a home down here below. Why the Chazal use the term desire? Because desire is more than an ordinary will. And a desire is of a taivis ken kasha. For a desire, when it comes to a desire, here there's no question. You can't question a lust and a desire for something. It's not a logical will. Shetam Habriya Ulamayla Masagid Alter Rebbe explains that the reason for creation is beyond comprehension. So now the Rebbe goes on, but in truth, we look in different svarim, we look in different places, we do see reasons given. Similar to the idea when it comes to Golus, we see reasons for Golus, that elevation or other reasons, but though in different svarim, both in Nigla and even in Kabbalah, it's brought down different reasons for the creation. Move like it's brought down in Tafresh Samach, in elaborating that when the Rebbe Rashab elaborates on this statement of the Alter Rebbe, if a Taivas can caution it, so the Rebbe Rashab in the famous Hemshech Tafresh Samach brings down over there time in Malpi Nigla the Torah. He brings reasons for the creation according to the revealed part of the Torah. Valpi Rosin, and according to the secrets of the Torah, and even the Rosin, the Rosin, and the secrets of the secrets of the Torah. And still in all, the truth of the matter, even the Rebbe Rashab comes to the conclusion that all of these reasons cannot and are not the ultimate core reason. In a time in these reasons are insufficient for why the world was created. And the true reason of why the world was created is beyond comprehension. Because so Hashem desired. Until, like the statement of the Alter Rebbe, it's not just that there's no explanation. The whole idea of a question doesn't apply. There's an expression in Yiddish. The kasha hebt sich nicht an. The question doesn't even begin. There's sometimes a question that demands an answer. Then there could be that the entire question doesn't even start. It's not like there's a question why Hashem wanted to create the world, and then you have a reason and an explanation. It's a taiva kin kashni. That means when you're talking about a taiva, there's no question, there's no reason, there's no explanation that even begins. So he says, from the fact that by Hashem there's this type of idea that He wanted the world for no logical reason that can be explained and understood. So from this comes down into a person down below. The idea of the descent and the exile by him is an approach of we will do that's beyond reason and knowledge. It's beyond any type of understanding, just like the creation is also in a way that's beyond any understanding. Tasiya. That's where it says that the vine, which is going to the Jewish people, you make them travel from Mitzrayim. Chazal say, just like a vine, when you want to improve it, you uproot it from this place and then you plant it in a different place. Kach Yisrael, so to the Yidden Shaydei, that through the descent and the exile, they ascend. There's an improvement, just like the vine becomes improved. But this is something that's beyond comprehension. Up till now, we were talking about the travels of the Yidden as Klal Yisrael, they're traveling into Golus. Now he's going to explain also by every single Yid person. Moshe B'chlolus, just like it's in general concerning Klal Yisrael, that their travels and they're being uprooted from one place to another place improves them, just even though we don't understand it, even though it makes no sense to us. So to Kenu B'Pratis, it's called Lechad Yisrael, so to it specifically and individually by every single Yid. Do a Torah Baal Shem Tov, like known the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, the Bechol Echad Mi Yisrael Yesh Number Meshach Yimechayev Amembez Mamsois, that in every single Yid throughout the duration of his life, there is the 42 journeys. Just like it says in the Pasuk, Eila Maseh B'nai Yisrael, these are the journeys of the B'nai Yisrael, and he enumerates over there 42 encampments, 42 stops, 42 journeys. The same thing where it says, Eila Maseh B'nai Yisrael, according to the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, this means that every year, not just Klal Yisrael went through Membeis Mamsois 42 journeys, but every individual Yid throughout their lives go through 42 journeys. Concerning the individual Yid with his individual journeys throughout his life. So we say, through his journeys, through his travels, he improves. After Behen, Yizbot Sarvi Yisur. The Rebbe says this is a very open way, even though these journeys entail suffering, pain. Just the opposite, he needs to be in pain over them. In other words, he shouldn't accept the darkness of Golus. He shouldn't, make peace with the fact that he is far from Eretz Yisrael, far from a place of godliness. And no explanations and reasons cannot calm his suffering and pain. In Yiddish, because it matters to the very essence of his soul. This is very reminiscent of what the Maimer Ata Tetzave, that the last Maimer by the Chassidim consider like the final statement and testament that the Rebbe gave us before Gimel Tammuz, to know about that every Yid has to be pained by the very fact that they are in Golus. And this seems to be the point also in this Maimer as well, that every Yid has to feel this pain and suffering of being far away from Ein Hashem Elokecha Bo. And this is something that has to permeate us, and something that the essence of the soul should not be satisfied with any type of reasoning, even though logically and mentally, intellectually, we can come up with reasons and explanations. But in our essence, this is completely unnatural for us to be separated from the eyes of Hashem, and therefore it has to bother us to the depth of our being. And the only reason that we follow through and do this is only because of Nasa Kaidum Nishma, that we just do it in a way of Kabbalah's oil, just like we do Torah mitzvahs in general.